You're such an asshole.
So Cam, I had an epiphany. I could do an original now. It's an important epiphany too, because there's ramifications that's going to help people down the road, particularly minority brothers. I would say sisters, but ladies, you don't care about self-improvement. You just want it to be the way you want it to be. Give me now. Should major in engineering and accounting. What do you? Never mind. Go do whatever the hell you want. Let us know when you're 55 and miserable. But it does have some ramifications for anyone who wants to listen, especially as it pertains to their career, and it's important. So, but it dawned on me when I was going to college and trying to, make my way through banking and everything. I was on the inside. And let me explain to you what I mean by I was on the inside. Going all the way back to middle school with just a bunch of punchable people. And this was peak 80s, right? Peak 80s. I've said it before. If you didn't have the right clothes, you had to get in fights. People would pick on you. I remember my Walmart 500s, Velcro shoes. People wanted to fight me in the 7th grade because I had Velcro shoes from Walmart. And what? Oh, of course, short and skinny. Now, I didn't break 100 pounds, I think, my junior year in high school. Oh, all Republican white people, by the way. In case you were wondering, oh my God, white people are going to save the planet. Not you people. I recall correctly, you were dumb enough to drop $50 on Cavaricci pants and shirts and Varney this and Mirth Gerbad jeans. Just stupid people. But if there was one thing that you could categorize or describe all that with was cliques, groups. Oh, in the olden days, you had the nerd and the jocks or the motorheads. But in our day, you always had your nerds. Yeah, I don't know, what would you call them? Dirtbags? I have no idea what you'd call them. And the jocks kind of left you alone. Jocks were all right, but they're just some ass. But it was all about being popular and having the right clothes. Oh, we had the clique of girls, went on into high school. And movies like Mean Girls, they weren't made in a vacuum. They were like, let's create. I got a crazy idea. Let's just say there's a group of girls and they're really mean and think they're awesome because they're hot. Like, no, that has historical anchoring. That happened. And it was one thing, if you weren't wearing the right clothes or you had your Walmart 500 Velcro, I should have saved them. But it's another thing when you bust your ass off in college, you work really hard, pay your own way through college like I did, just work hard in general, and you get into the real world and you think, oh yeah, well, they said, well, in college, that all ends. Parents don't want to do anything about it. I don't know, play you out of school, have you homeschool, whatever. They just say, don't worry, it all ends in college. No, it doesn't end in college. It's certainly lessened down because now everyone's an adult and you can't get in fights because you go to jail. Really wasn't as much cliquiness in college, but the one thing I do remember busting my ass off in college, doing how familiar does this sound? Doing what you were told to do. You did what we told you to do. I don't know. You're just not fishing in the right holes. Maybe there's some with you. You don't know. But you put in your time, you put in your dues, and you thought you left that middle school, high school, 80s, 90s. I'm sure it happens to today. Bullshit behind, where you were judged on your clothes, who you're friends with, all that backstabbing Lord of the Flies, ass backward, mentally ill, psychotic value system bullshit. You thought you left that behind. And then I got to run into that after graduating from college because what did I major in? Finance. Bro. What do you do with a finance degree? You work in banking. What is banking filled with? Nothing but a bunch of douchebags from middle school and high school and maybe college and some frat boys that had no talent, had no skill. I'm not making that up. I'm not saying it because I don't like these people. I'm saying it because it's true. They needed a bailout. Bankers are dumb. Finance guys are dumb. They're lazy. They're I don't know how else to describe it. But as you're fully aware, getting into banking, the finance industry, at least at that time, was probably one of the most cliquey, clubby, what's the other words? Groupie. Oh, you didn't go to this school? Like, absolutely not meritocratic. It was 100% who you knew and not what you knew. And that, to a larger extent, applied a larger yet lesser, meaning a broader yet slightly less, not that much lesser, but slightly lesser, like peak corruption, nepotism, cronyism, old boys network. They call it the old boys network. That is banking. That is finance, where it doesn't matter how good you are. That was peak. Most other industries, though, it was up there. I mean, I joke about cargo. I remember I had one time a guy in my finance class, and I did a quip about, oh, I can't work there because, I didn't go to the right school for Cargill. And the guy after the class, he came in, he's like, yeah, you're right. They only hire if you got to know someone there. They won't hire from all. I'm like, oh yeah. Wonder why. But my point is that this clickiness, this group, this corruption, this nepotism, meaning you hire within, cronyism, nepotism is you hire within your family, like all the New York publishing houses, right? Where they now? I hope you're drowning in the Hudson, you assholes. All right, so that's nepotism. Cronyism is you hire your buddies. Dude, you with Kappa Kappa Phi, bro? And you all saw how that ended with what I think. But by the way, the bailout of the bank, that wasn't the first one. There was the S&L bailout. I think there was a banking bailout in 1907. I mean, these guys are just talentless douchebags. Except, I guess today they wear Patagonia vests. I guess that's what they do now. But where's I going with that? But that's cronyism. You hire your buddies. I mean, no joke. Minnesota, you better play hockey. You better have gone to the right high school. Oh my goodness, you went to Fridley. Oh, my good God, man! Don't you know we're Woodbury? We can't possibly hire somebody who didn't attend a school that didn't end or begin with a vowel. Look at this man from Brooklyn Park, thinking he's going to get a job amongst us Wyzethians. And it's true, 100% true. Now, I'm not going to play my violin, and I'll be quick about it. I was the best in my class. I was. Doesn't even come close. But Aaron, you were number 5. Graduated number 5 GPA. Right? There were 4 people had better GPAs than you. Yeah, but they took 4 to 5 years. I knew who the 4 were. They all took 4 to 5 years to graduate. I graduated 3.5. And I worked full time, motherfuckers. I had 3 internships on my belt. And it's not a surprise that if, and link below, you could see it, behind the housing crash. I predicted it. I was a damn good economist. Still am if I feel like it. There was the amount of value I would have brought to any employer that would have hired me based on my ability, skills, and talents. And we're intellectually honest to actually want to, invest in the right thing, increase rates of return, et cetera, rather than just have sales commission. I was the best. Supremely confident in that statement. But who am I? I'm not. I didn't know. I didn't belong to the frat boys. Didn't have time. Didn't have the money. I didn't attend what douchebag school. I didn't attend White Bear Lake High. I didn't attend Winnetka High. I didn't hang out with Ferris Bueller and his buddies. I wouldn't go to those. They had networking. Oh, the Carlson School of Management got a networking event. I went to one. I think it was Anderson Consulting, and they went belly up. Just so you know, they're not that. They aren't. They're all skis. They're all scumbags. They're not talented. It's all about who you know. I went to this networking event, and all it was, they were drinking beers like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, I'm here for employment. You got a job or not? Which is why I should have yelled out. But as time went on, and as I saw who got loans and who got jobs, and I had to bust my ass off to go to get what little modicum of employment at the crappy little banks that I worked at, even then, you'd see it. Well, here's my friend Bob. Let's go out on the boat, get some drinks. Like, why do we got to go on the boat and have drinks when I need your tax returns to figure out whether your buddy Bob, you want to get a loan, should get a loan? Why? We don't have to go on a boat to get drinks. I mean, I'm fine with that. Why don't we do that after you give me the tax returns? Then I can tell you whether we lend him money. He may not want us on his boat when I say no to his loan. Bob's a good friend. Oh, well, F all the underwriting standards in the world. Bob's his friend. Well, why didn't you say so, Jim? That's how boomers called the housing crisis. But regardless, the whole point was, unless you were 100%, unless you were related, there was no way you were getting a job based on meritocracy. Never. Not in my day. Not in the decade and 15, maybe even 20 years after that. I was saying you weren't getting no job based on meritocracy unless you were so critically important. You were an engineer, a surgeon, or something like that, which is why I advise all of you to avoid any kind of business degree, be an accountant, do taxes, engineering, doctor, dentist, so you don't ever have to face this corporate bullshit, this corporate office cocksucking bullshit. That was on the inside. And then it dawned on me. So, well, before I go to the outside, so way back then, knowing how much preferential treatment was going on, how unfair it all was, I said, I think I was still in my 20s. I'm like, if the Republicans ever hope to save this country or be, still have a quasi-capitalist free country and economy, they better come out with anti-nepotism laws and anti-corruption laws and anti-cronyism laws. Like, nope, you're going to hire the best people, not your frat buddy Jim down the road. So that was on the inside. And I already knew just why corporate America, and why I recommend you all go become self-employed. But on the outside, looking in, it might look completely differently. And by the means of outside, what I mean by that, what if you're Black or Hispanic minority, maybe not Asian, because they got their own thing going on and they're all doctors and surgeons. And we're like, we need you so desperately. Please don't go. But let's say you're my Black equivalent, right? Jerome Cappy. All right. He's there. He's doing his thing. He's busting his ass off at work. He's applying to things that he doesn't come from wealth. He'd get rejected just the same as anyone else. But in context, almost guarantee you, people would say it's because of racism. And I'm not saying that there wasn't, like, not anywhere in the history of the past 50 years, someone did get a job because of actual race. I'm not saying that didn't happen, or that wasn't more common than what I'm implying here. What I'm saying, though, is because Main Street America, normal America, white suburbanite America was unethical, nepotistic, cronyistic, and cliquey, that behavior continued on. And whereas I know it's just, no, you're just a bunch of assholes. You're just a clique. It has nothing to do with skin color. It doesn't seem that way to the increasing minority population who's busting their ass off, came off the boat, worked hard, poor, get the grades and like, oh, look at this. Jerome Cappy wishes to work at Diddly-Do Investment Bank. He didn't even attend Eden Prairie High School. He's not even with Phi Sigma Rep. And I'm thinking, how much because you were unaware of the 80s and the shoes, and you had to have the right shirt, the cavalry sheet, and all. How much has been misdiagnosed? How much has white clickiness, suburbanite asshole, white clickiness, been misdiagnosed as racism because you weren't part of the culture, you didn't know? And now it's kind of like, oh, the what is it? Chickens are coming home to roost, because there's just like, well, we're not getting in because. But I'm like, okay, sure. A couple times you may not have gotten in because of actual bigotry and all that. I'm nuts to bolts, guys. I'm speaking to the minority ones. Nuts to bolts. You didn't get in because you weren't part of the team. You weren't part of the network. And the reason I bring this up is not to like make an interesting observation. Maybe it was white clickiness. It was probably more white clickiness than it was racism. It just you couldn't discern. You wouldn't be able to differentiate coming in from the outside. Here's my point for everybody. Do you think the nepotism and cronyism and the clickiness, you think that's gone away? You think white people are the only? I bet. I'm gonna bet, minority audience listening, and I'm gonna have a feeling you had popular kids in school too. I'm sure you had your Beckys and Trishas. I'm sure. I don't know. Was there this thing called Air Jordans? Was that a thing? Like, were you tell me this? Were you part of an educational environment where you were a morally better and more sought after person because you had Air Jordans, and if you didn't have them, you were the shit of the earth? And what I'm saying, not that you shouldn't fight against racism, but damn well guarantee you nepotism and cronyism, and especially the rah-rah sisterhood that you guys got going on now in corporate America. Oh, sure, they're doing diversity and inclusion. Fine. You got some minorities in. What do you think who do you think LaDasha is now in charge of hiring? Who do you think LaDasha is going to hire? The best qualified person? Who could be Steve, could be Jerome, could be Manuel. No, it ain't going to be any of you. You dumb guys. It's going to be Tina, her BFF. May or may not be black, won't matter. All you did, you didn't address the key. It was close. The diagnosis was really, you had to come from a different angle. But there's still nepotism. There's still corruption. There's still a bunch of assholes, and they're going to promote everyone with it. I'll give you another example. Colin Powell, minority. Was he first Joint Chief of Staff? Someone more knowledgeable, but okay. Colin Powell, American war hero. And I was like, I had a favorable opinion of Colin Powell. I'm like, hey, he worked. He's a military pro. He's a Republican, all that other stuff. And then his son gets to work at I think it was the FCC. Like, how are you heading up the FCC? It was some government organization. What? And here's my point. You may not like meritocracy. You may not like struggling, hustling, and hard work and sacrifice. But if you have a meritocracy, in theory, you hire the best person for the job. And that ain't happening now. Now we're going for diversity hires, or how disabled are you? What genitalia do you like to lick this week? We can't have the other people who are like consistent and honest about their sexuality. We need the people like, I'm pansexual today. I'm Lacey Green. Hee hee. I have titties. Hire me. Like, we need we need to play the game. And for whatever modicum of progress may have been made to help close the gap between minorities and non-minorities, it's not going to help minorities. It's not, I was going to say longer, it's not going to help the majority of minorities, because you still haven't gotten rid of the cancer that was the root cause of it all, which is nepotism, cronyism, preferences. The only way, and it's not going to happen, by the way, it just isn't. The only way you're going to make it so that Perkins has French silk pie regularly 24/7. The only way you're going to get Perkins open 24/7, the only way you're going to have ice cream at Sonic, the only way you're going to not have a financial crash again over at Goldman Sachs or Dean Witter or whatever the hell it is, the only way you're going to have any kind of high standard of living and everyone's got themselves an okay career and could afford a house and that is if you get rid of the corruption, nepotism, and cronyism, and you institute meritocracy. So the best get into the best positions of power, the best positions of ability, like you command, like you're making decisions that affect $1 billion worth of investments. You don't want to screw that up. You want the best guy or gal there. You want the best. Because that way, not only is it fair and ethical, we have the highest standards of living. And that you've completely misdiagnosed. And I'll still go back to what I claimed before when I was in my 20s. There ought to be laws against hiring people that are related to you. There ought to be laws against cronyism, like you're hiring from within a school or a family. Standardized. You remember, wasn't it? No, I could be wrong on my legal history on this. Corporations, was it the Duke Energy case? You can't give an IQ test because it discriminates against minorities. So now we all got to go to college for 4 years to get over bloviated pieces of paper of college degrees. Oh, that's helping everybody. That's really helping out everyone. But if we could go back, it's like, no, we're going to test you and sit down. Hang on, I know this is going to be while we're in La La Land and companies train you in, let's hit the ground running. It's a dream. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to go to ability testing, standardized testing, and the hell if they're going to spend the money on training you. Right? It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you what's got to get done. But there ought to be some laws made where it's like, no, we could, like, you don't get the job. You're like, damn, I know who I was, and I know my competitors. I want to know who got the job. Oh, look, it's the cousin who got the job. You could file a lawsuit against them and get that person fired. I know that's not free market. I know that's rather invasive and government interventionist, but I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I know these corporations will just, they're not fair. Oh, they're corporations. You're a capitalist. You should like them. Nah, no, not really. You need a fair playing ground. This is not ever going to happen. It's not. It's just not. And so whether or not you have to be minority or not, and we've talked about this at length, you don't want to be working for corporate America long term. You want to go in there, you want to cut your teeth, you want to make your money, you want to get your credentials, pay off your student loans and all that. But then you all, at least my team, you got to become an independent contractor, join the 1099 superior race, get some kind of self-employment thing going on. So you never have to deal with it, because previous to diversity, inclusion, and equity, previous to the big affirmative action shit, corporate America still wasn't worth it. You weren't gonna get pro. Here's a great movie. Go watch Donnie Brasco. That's what happens. The loyal guy who's working really hard, he just wasn't in the power structure of the mob. Al Pacino's character. Go watch that. He gets overpassed for promotion. Why? Because he wasn't cool enough. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. And God Almighty, don't waste your mentalities and your life and your youth and your frustration trying to like be the best within a corporate. No. You use that corporation. You use that employer. You get your money. You get your experience. You get whatever your certifications you need. You get stable. All right. Get a couple of years experience. Get a bolster on the resume. And the second you got a good business idea, or you could start contracting on the side, you do it. And instead of it being, what was the movie? Was it War of the Roses? No. Ruthless People? Instead of that, it's just the modern day version with affirmative action. Who the hell wants to work? It's still the same corporation. You don't want to work there. But I just want to point out, told me, oh my God, we got to do something. Well, were you clicking white people? Were you in the popular kids group, Mr. NBA, leading the company now because you got nice hair? Oh, now you do. Oh, interesting. You're being accused of racism when it really wasn't that. You were just a bunch of cliquey douchebags who would only hire from the frat you went to. Oh, okay. Here's a lawsuit. Hope you enjoy what? Title 19, Title 12, Title whatever. So there you go. All right, let's go to the super chats and have ourselves a treat. 279 Canadian from Young 12 Easy. But Aaron, how do I get the girls out? You pay for it. There you go. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. World's greatest economist ready. I told you I was a good economist. I told you I was good, man. That's how you get the girls. You pay for it. Oh, you want to keep one? I want to like without paying for it? Well, okay. That's a little bit more involved. But you just go pay for it. There you go. Dung is fun. $2. My mom made jeans and jewelry for my older siblings. Yeah. What year was that? And did they get picked on? Ken Rose, $1. Thank you. Django Geek, $2. Working overtime again. Here's a couple bucks. Thanks, Django Geek. Jeff, $5. This is my last year in finance. Then I'm doing something useful like butchering or producing prawn. Thank God, Jeff. Glad you're getting out of it. I just switched to accounting. It's not that hard. If you could do finance, you could do accounting. Pays way better. You have to deal with people. John and Audit, $2. Just got back from 4 weeks in Europe. No fat people. That's what people keep saying. I should have paid more attention in Europe. I really should have. Well, I know why because I lost 12 pounds going to Europe. There's no food over there. They don't have food. We did walk a fair amount. That's fine. That's fine by me. I didn't mind that. Wiz Division Productions, $5. Super chat, 1 of 2. Funny story. I was the only black kid at a private Christian middle school. Of all white kids, was treated very well. Super chat, 2 of 2. Fast forward to public high school, shoved into lockers by black kids for being a nerd. Sometime life picks your clan for you. I kind of had the different experience. Now, maybe because you went to a private Christian middle school. You all have your kill list, right? Your top 10 people you want to bump off. There's nothing but white people on the top. And it's the paradox that doesn't matter where you are or who you are, race or not, your community, which is probably going to be the same race as you, you're going to find most of your enemies in there. And so because you're within proximity to each other, your best friends and your worst enemies are going to be from that group, usually also the same race. And so, I don't know. I'd have to come up with a top 100 list. I'm sure there's some minorities on that list somewhere, but they're not in the top 10. Not in the top 10. And this is like, and that I'm glad you had that experience with white kids. I didn't. It's a special level of hate. It's just a backstabby special level of hate. They just like, oh, you're not cool. I'm kind of curious where you went that no one picked on you. Although you are younger than me by a considerable amount, it might be generational. Maybe it was all, hey, oh my God, let's just sing and be happy together. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Your kill list probably has mostly black people on it. I'm going to guess. Wiz Division Productions, $5. Life has constantly punished me for meritocracy and rewarded me for taking advantage of cronyism. I got lucky. Sometimes you got to use the cards dealt. Yep. I don't blame you, man. If you tried it right, go ahead. Try it right the first way. But if you got connections, use them. Go ahead and use them because they're not going to change it. They're not going to change the rules. It's going to be, you must be with that group of people or this group of people. Oh, but not that group of people. Oh, did you go to the same thing I did? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you don't have to apply. We'll just pass you through. You start tomorrow. Keon, $2. Thanks for keeping me awake at work, Happy. No problem. Herschel. For 30 Israeli shekels, correct? Meritocracy. Oh my God, you're so naive. Laziness and nepotism will always keep us poor. Well, I'm not naive. I said meritocracy. It's not going to happen. It takes a special type of breed to make the economy better. And how much of these assholes will elect based on merit? Laughing out loud. Right. No, you're 100% right. Not disagreement. Herschel again for 15 Israeli shekels. What I'm saying is that poor people's ego will always choose traitism over materialism, which is the number one reason for poverty. But with traitism comes material. Look, if there was no promises of welfare, preferential treatment, or money at the end of choosing traits, people wouldn't choose traits. They might choose it if there was nothing else, but out of like safety and numbers within your own tribe. But modernly within the U.S., Yes, the traitists, people who value their traits above all else, they're choosing it because there's a materialist payoff at the end of it. Give us more money because we're this disadvantaged group of people, whatever it might be, race, sexual preference, women would never ask for preferential, right? They'd never. Which is not, and it is the number one reason for poverty because they don't invest in skills. They think the number one thing about them is the way they were born, which is just as ridiculous as me saying I'm like really awesome because I have brown eyes. Uh-huh. You put it that way, it's like that's ridiculous. I'm like, how is it they do? I'm really special because I have a vagina. Uh-huh. It's all you blue-eyed people oppressing me. That's what it is, you blue-eyed people. Bob. $5. Cappy, I just watched American Psycho. You remind me of Christian Bale in the scene, hip to be square with the hatchet. I've never seen it. Never seen it. Young 12, easy, 7 Canadian. My job is simple, Clary. Keep the lights on until you pass away, then watch the world burn. Well, good. Are you an electrician? Do you work at the grid? The Canadian grid? Is it powered by Caribou? How does the Canada power grid work? Dung is fun. $2. It was the 80s. My siblings were the popular kids. How they doing now? I'd be real curious how they're doing now. I can't find the popular kids in my school anymore. Like, you'd think you'd find them on the internet. I'm like, what the hell happened? I don't know. Maybe they all got married, changed that. But then you'd still have the guys. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $5. Did you go to the Goddard School in Edina, bro? No, Breck. And what's the other one? Blake and Breck. And did your dad go to St. Thomas and work at Cargill? Well, sorry, we can't hire you, unlike Tanner. Yep. I'm sure this is countrywide, but if you want to have any shot of actually being authentically hired, like any shot, like if you're poor or young or poor and you're unconnected, don't go to Minnesota. Just don't. Go work the trades, man. You can avoid all this shit with the trades. 6 shekels. I meant meritocracy. Sorry. Yeah, no problem. That's all right. No, what is your name? I get the Hebrew spelling. I'm just calling you Herschel because you're Israeli. I don't know what your real name is. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $5. Dude, did you go to the again? You donated twice, DJ. Dude, did you go to the Gardner School from Edina, man? Does your dad work at the Carlson Companies? Oh, the Carlson Companies closed. Did you hear that, buddy? Ah. Well, sorry, man, we can't hire you. You're not a good fit. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $2. I said the wrong school 2 times. My mistake. Well, it's the Gardner School or the Goddard? There's Goddard School. There's the Goddard School. Is there a Gardner School in Edina? I wouldn't know. I never attended. I just knew there was Blake and Breck. And I don't know, maybe the private schools are probably better. All right, that's it. So link below, 2 books for our minority listeners. The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. That was written for black men. Obviously, you're in poverty. Don't get it. I never understood this. Hey, black guy. Man, I really appreciate your book, Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. I'm like, oh, were you poor? No, I was pretty well off. I'm like, well, why'd you get it? White people get the book. You're not black. You're not even poor. What are you doing? You're not even a male. What are you doing? Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. For any minorities out there, you could be Latino and get it too. That's linked below. And then, what the hell was the other one? Oh, Behind the Housing Crash. That's my first book. I don't promote it much because, I don't know, I guess I don't. But I was writing it before the housing crash happened. That's how good I was. Hey, for all you bankers out there, all you banks, you'd be $1 billion up 10 years ago. You wouldn't have been bailed out. You would have been fine. Maybe you should have had me. I mean, I'm almost CEO age, right? I'm 48. I should be your CEO right now, right? Oh, you got the guy with all the cum in the back of his throat because he's been sucking so many dicks since he got his MBA and he can't talk. There's all the cum in his mouth from all the previous CEOs dicks he saw. But hey, I bet you he's 6 feet tall. He's got some really nice hair. What do you mean? What do you mean? Racial discrimination lawsuit. What are you talking about? All right. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.